What's up, everybody? Again, I need to figure out how to do like a real fancy fade from that graphic into me, other than this like really abrupt like boom, there's my face. But hey, welcome to the live stream, guys. Welcome to our second I was about to say second annual, but that's terrible. My second in a row Monday live stream. So thanks for joining. We're gonna have a good one. I have a very special guest today that I will be bringing on here very shortly. He is of the British persuasion, very British. And a lot of you may have known him. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in because he's back now and very, very appropriately drinking tea. Elliot, what's up?
Good morning, everybody. Morning. Or evening. Sorry, I should be saying evening. There we go.
We have people from all around the world on here right now. It just so happens. True. What time is it right there for you?
It is currently 2 minutes past 2. It's pitch black. The sun set a while ago. I've got to be at work in like 6 hours, but you know, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
And yet he's joining us here on the live stream. So now a lot of you may or may not know who Elliot is. So I think we're going to get to some introductions, and we're going to get to know Elliot very, very well here very soon. Probably better than he even knows, because we're about to play some games with him. So did you just see that look of fear on his face when I said that? Like, anyways. But real quick though, Elliot, tell them a little bit about what you do and like what your involvement is with the Wheel of Time, because you are not really a new creator, right? Like you're kind of an old creator that's kind of making new stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I made a few Wheel of Time videos, a while ago now. And now I've decided to give that a bit more of my time, a bit more of my focus, and create a solely Wheel of Time fantasy dedicated YouTube channel that I'm very excited about, you know, creating more content for and chatting to people in the community. It's basically a lot of fun, and you know, as much as I've tried to persuade my friends to read a 14 book long series, you know, it's taking a while. So this is really my outlet to try talking about it and talking to people who have read it.
You know, it's so funny because like I think for a lot, I know speaking for myself, like that was one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel was the show was coming out and I didn't have any real life people that I could talk to about it. So I was like, and there weren't any real videos at the time. So I made a video and just so I could have people to talk to.
It's a great vent for actually like, you know, getting out the excitement that you have about the series.
Well, so what type of content do you make? Like you've got one video out, your new channel is what?
My new channel is, I mean, it's called Elliot Edits. I'm hoping actually like I think it's when you get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, you can actually like have a youtube.com/ and then you get to pick a name. So currently it's like, you know, YouTube, go subscribe to youtube.com/ you know, Y37 $29.
I'm going to put it in the chat. So
fantastic, thank you.
But how would they find you if they were looking outside of the chat?
I guess if you type in Norse mythology in the Wheel of Time, I should pop up somewhere in the listings.
Or Elliot Edits, right?
Or Elliot Edits, yeah. Elliot Edits on Twitter, and hopefully soon Elliot Edits on YouTube.
And not to spoil your videos, because first of all, guys, one of the reasons I wanted to have Elliot on, he makes like really, really damn good Wheel of Time stuff. Like it's really well researched. It's very unique. So it's different than I think anything else that anybody else is making, which I love. I think that's a great place to be. What is your first video, like your first couple videos actually? Because I know you've got a couple one coming out this week. Like what is it? Like, what's it kind of about, if you want to give the Cliff's Notes version?
For me, I mean, I'm a massive fan of fantasy and mythology and where the two kind of combine. So I love making videos about that and seeing where fantasy authors take their inspiration from. But I'm also a big fan. I mean, I studied film at university, so I love the kind of process of adaptation and seeing how things go from a book to film or TV. So expect like a few more videos about that and sort of changes that can be made and whether that'll be a good thing or a bad thing and how it will work. And then hopefully when the TV show comes out, we can do a little bit more sort of in depth, less speculation, more commenting on what's actually been changed.
I love it, man. And I'm hoping if you guys are not subscribed to Elliot, again, you type in the name you see on the screen right now. Just type that into YouTube, you'll find him. And again, I'll post the link here a couple times. We'll put it in the description. But really, so that's kind of where Elliot has come from. That's why I wanted to have him on. We're going to talk some Wheel of Time. You're going to get to know Elliot very well here soon. Better
very
than
well.
You knew. I told him it was like totally tame and I wasn't going to ask him tough questions, but like we're going super deep. Like,
oh, fantastic.
I'm joking. It's not that bad. But we're going to play some hot seat here with Elliot here in a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to shamelessly promote some stuff that I do. So guys, if you are not aware, and a lot of you are still not aware, I'm a member of a podcast. In fact, last week on this same very live stream, I had my two podcast hosts on with me, Jess and Recapacity. We are Tarval and After Dark, which is a fairly new podcast, although I would say we are a fairly unique podcast. So I don't know about you, Elliot, do you ever listen to podcasts? And you're okay to say no, because I don't.
I do occasionally. I kind of wish I had more time. I feel like there's a lot of them out there at the moment, and it's just finding the time.
There are. In fact, like Brian, so Recapacity, he asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, no, because I don't. and he was like, no, but we could. And we started talking about it and we were like, we want to do something like completely different. And so I thought this would be fun because what we do on our podcast is sort of a, like, I don't know how else to put it. We do bits, like it's a half comedy, half discussion podcast. So we do like almost like pre-recorded comedy bits. So here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to play a clip of one of our commercials that we do that are Wheel of Time based, and we'll come back. So here is a short clip, promotional clip from Tarval and After Dark. This is Elliot's first time ever hearing this. So here we go.
I was winning too much in the end with my lucky dice, and now they are accusing me of cheating. I'd better call Gaul.
I just happened to be hanging out with a murderer, and someone saw it. Now they're accusing me of being a dark friend. Time to call Gaul.
I'm a high lord of Tyr, and one of the lowly peasants got mad that I murdered his brother for looking me in the eyes. Now the dragon reborn wants to cut my head off. I better call Gaul.
Hi, I'm Gaul. Have you been accused of something and you don't want anyone to think you actually did it? Do you want to get away with it? I believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and I can make sure no one is left alive to prove you're guilty. You better call Gaul. I will stab the fuck out of your accuser with spears, making sure there is no one left alive to actually find you guilty of a crime. So, if someone has accused you of a crime, or they want to kill you, I will kill them first. You better call Gaul.
There you go. Commercial break. Now, I was thinking about this as we were watching that. Elliot, have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
I've seen bits.
Okay, so that wouldn't make too much sense to you if you haven't seen Breaking Bad. So, anyways.
I still found it very funny, so it's all...
You found Breaking Bad very funny? I'm joking. Okay, here we go. See this list? These are all the questions you're about to get asked.
Oh, fantastic. Hit me.
We're going to do a couple things here. So these are some Wheel of Time questions. These are some super intimately personal questions so that the crowd gets to know you. Okay, here we go. How old are you?
I am currently 25.
25. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
A bit of both. I would say I lean more towards dog at the moment just because I have one.
Okay, what kind of dog do you have? Gotta do a follow-up question.
A cockapoo. In fact, you can see him in one of my Wheel of Time videos. He cameos quite frequently.
Favorite character from the Wheel of Time?
Nynaeve.
Good call. See, I like you already. I knew there was a reason I watched one. What's the best Wheel of Time book?
Shadow Rising.
Good call. See, again, I like you're the coolest place you've ever visited in your life.
The Acropolis.
Ooh. Have you ever been to the U.S.?
I have a couple of times, mainly stuck to the coasts. So I've been to New York and Los Angeles.
See, you've clearly... I can't believe that you think the Acropolis is cooler than visiting... I'm joking. Are you coming to JordanCon in April?
Oh my gosh, I would really like to. I'm planning on just sort of like need to save up some air miles, but yeah, I mean that is the goal. Be great to see everyone in person. Yeah, got to make it happen.
Okay, what's the story of how you started reading The Wheel of Time?
I started a job that involved a 2-hour commute that involved me getting up at 5 a.m. So this really isn't anything new for me. You know, the alarm goes off and I'm used to that just sudden feeling of dread. And not that I was dreading being on I was very excited to be here. But yeah, so I needed something to fill that time. And the one thing I'd heard about the Wheel of Time was that it had a very satisfying ending. So I dived into the series. Funnily, though, little anecdote. I listened to the first one on audiobook on the train. And when you listen to something on audiobook, this was one of the first audiobooks I'd ever listened to. So I didn't really have a sense of how big the book actually was. 30 hours or so didn't mean much to me. And then around Christmas time that year, I went into a Waterstones and I thought, I'll go to the fantasy section. I'll have a look and see, because I just finished Eye of the World. I downloaded The Great Hunt. I was ready to dive into the second one. So then I went over to the fantasy section. I found Robert Jordan. I picked up Eye of the World and it had a 1 on it. And I thought, God, it's quite a big book. And then next to it on the shelf was, number 2, The Great Hunt. I think even bigger. And I was like, okay, cool. And then next to that was number 14, A Memory of Light. And I had 2 thoughts. I sort of thought, 1, who's in charge of restocking this Waterstones? And 2, like, what the hell have I got myself into? Fast forward a year later, and that was that. Bless you.
Well, thank you. No, that's so cool. First of all, I have to throw this comment up here. Amanda, is anybody else getting Andorran vibes from Elliot? His accent is what I imagine Andorran speech to be, which I think that was pretty much what Robert Jordan was thinking. Like,
yeah, like British,
which we're gonna get to that. So, okay, here we go. We're back to the questions. Here we come. First, super personal question: single or taken?
Taken.
Sorry, ladies, taken. What Aja would you be?
What Aja
would you be?
Do you know, I'd as much as I'd love to say like green or blue, I reckon I'd be brown.
I can see that. How do you spell favorite correctly?
I'm dyslexic and not very good at spelling anyway, so I'm just gonna say FAVE and leave it at that.
Gotcha. That's a cop out because you British people spell it wrong. I just thought. Okay. Have you ever seen Ted Lasso?
Have I ever seen Ted Lasso? Afraid not.
Do you even know what I'm talking about when I say that?
I do not.
Okay.
Is this a cultural divide thing?
It is. It's an American TV show on Apple TV about an American football coach who comes to coach an English Premier League soccer team.
Oh, do you know what? I'm sold on that pitch alone. So
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. What is the last movie you watched?
last movie I watched. Oh God, it was actually Ocean's 11 for the first time.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it. You know, I think at this point I've seen so many sort of parodies of the heist genre that clearly come from that movie. So it was kind of like watching that, and I was like, oh yeah, I can see that now. But I'm sure at the time it was very, seemed very stylish.
Well, back to the Ted Lasso for a second, everybody. Ted Lasso is amazing. You should watch it. It's a couple of you talking about it. Ocean's 11 is pretty damn good. Come on.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Okay. Which Wheel of Time character are you the most like?
That's a tough one. God, is it because I want to be Matt, but I feel like I'm leaning more towards Rand.
You can't say you're Perrin.
I'd love to be Perrin as well, but I just don't think that carefully.
Okay, here we go. Describe Americans in one word.
Describe Americans in one word. Optimistic.
I thought you were going to say dumb or something, because it's kind of true, but okay. What is the best American TV show ever?
Best American TV show ever. Community.
That's actually a pretty damn good call. Okay, American Office or the British Office?
I think it has to be, and I'm not pandering here, but I feel like it's got to be the American Office, just on like sheer volume and quality over time. I mean, I love the British Office because I love the cringy side of it.
People are calling it out. You're really polite. But I think you're right, though. I actually think The Office, the American version of The Office, is the one time in history that Americans did it better. Every other time, it's been terrible. But that was the one time. Okay.
Oh, gosh, yeah. American version of, what was it? Red Dwarf. I think I've seen that. The IT Crowd.
I haven't seen that one. What is the most historically accurate movie ever, and why is it a tie between The Patriot and Braveheart?
Do you know?
You've never seen any of those movies.
I have not. Even though Braveheart, I think, won Best Picture the year I was born. So,
gosh, I
have always meant.
I am so damn old. Jesus. Okay. Well, I was making jokes at him because both of those movies make the English out to be like horrible, horrible people.
Which is totally true, historically speaking.
Well, I mean, come on. Okay, tea or coffee?
Tea. Come on, it's got to be tea.
What kind of tea? Black tea, or what kind of tea are you drinking right now?
Yeah, do you know, I just drink black tea. I used to drink milk, and then I found out cows had to be pregnant in order to produce milk, and that kind of weirded me out a little bit. I don't know why. I went 24 years without even considering that. And
okay, would you rather be a white cloak or a Shan-Chan?
A white cloak, totally. I've always had a bit of a. I don't know. The white cloaks are pretty awful, but I'm a big. As people will find out in a future video, tease. I'm a big Gallard fan, so the White Cloaks, I feel like they're an important part of the series. I enjoy them.
Leafcast Brother Dan says tea is equal to dirty leaf water, which is actually pretty accurate. It is dirty leaf water.
See? I mean, what coffee? Dirty bean water, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, who's the best Forsaken?
That is a tough one. I feel like I could definitely pick the worst easier. The best has to probably be, I think, Semirog, because Semirog's the one I was always like most afraid of. When she showed up, I knew shit was going down.
Okay, I can feel that. I feel Semirog. Okay, mine would be Grendel, but because Grendel's really the best. But yeah. So you're wrong, but it's okay. Who is the worst character in the Wheel of Time? The worst character.
Again, I feel like everyone has the same answer for this one.
They do,
but it's got to be Garwin, hasn't it?
Garwin's pretty awful.
He is. Do you know? I would say, because there are characters that I like hated a lot more, but I feel like that's to their character and to the like success of their character that they were so, dislikable.
Well, so I would love to see comments, everybody watching. Who is worse than Godwin? Is there any character that's like a worse character that you're just like, oh, Godwin? All right. What is the worst book of the series?
God, there's that bit in the middle that they all kind of blurred together a little bit for me. Maybe Crown of Swords. Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, okay. I guess Crown of Swords is not terrible. I mean, how is that worse than Crown of Swords of Twilight?
I
guess.
I mean, I'd have to again. I demolished the series so quick; it kind of all blurred into one. I never had to wait for a book to come out, which I was the most I ever had to wait was for a month so I could get another Audible credit to get the last book, and that was torturous enough. So I have I have all the sympathy in the world for people who actually had to wait for the books to come out. Like, my God.
What's so funny about it is we thought we had it bad towards the end of Robert Jordan's life when he was starting to get sick and he was taking longer.
Yeah.
We thought we had it bad. Think about being a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire fan. I mean, I don't know.
I am.
I don't know how anybody does it. He's never going to finish it.
Yeah.
Like, he's never going to finish it.
Could need some of that American optimism at this point.
You're not going to get any. We're all pessimistic on that. That's. I don't think we're seeing the end of that series. I think the. And what's sad is the end of the TV show wasn't even good. Like, if the end of the TV show was good, I think people would feel better that he wasn't going to watch it. But now you never even know. Like,
we want the ending we never got. Yeah, that is tough.
Okay, so I think that is given people enough to get to know you. So I figured that's
watch my subscriber count drop.
Well, I bet you picked up a bunch. I'm thinking you are at 1,200 subscribers now.
Oh, brilliant! That's fantastic.
I'm joking. I made that up.
I
haven't looked.
That would have been quite a rise.
It'll be there soon, though. You do make great stuff, though. So when is your video dropping this week?
I'm going to say it's going to drop. Let's aim for Wednesday. Wheel of Time Wednesday. Let's go. Let's say that. Watch me now, staying up very late Wednesday night.
Elliot. Well, you're already up late. You're getting used to it now.
True,
okay, so let's shift and talk about that, because obviously the show's coming out. What would you say? Like, what's something you're excited about? Like, what are you excited to see? I guess.
Simple answer. I'm really excited to see what a Trolloc looks like. That's like the one sort of like, I guess, silly thing that I'm really curious to see that, because ever since they were described in the book, I always thought it's kind of like a really creative take on sort of like the classic orc goblin kind of thing, and I'm really excited to see the beak, the variety of them as well. Like, I'm hoping they're all not all the same. I'm hoping they all have this kind of like variety to them. Yeah. But I guess like a more in-depth answer would be, I'm kind of excited for the first time I'm going to be surprised. Like the first time they kind of go off the storyline a little bit, because I feel like we all know what the first episode's going to be like. I feel like the first part of Eye of the World kind of fits really well into like a story structure. I feel like we're all, and the first episode as well, there's already going to be so much that's new. We're going to be seeing the actors taking on the roles for the first time. We're going to see locations. We're going to get an overall look for the series, and so there's going to be so much new that I feel like if it just follows the plot of sort of like the first few chapters of the book, then that's cool. But I'm really looking forward to the first time that we step off that path and it goes somewhere different.
So do you think that, are you kind of hoping for changes then? Are you going to like what's your take on changes? Like, I think everybody knows that something has to happen, but like, where is the line for you? Like, where is it like, okay, that's too far?
I feel like that line's quite far away from me, because I'm really into adaptation, and I found that with a lot of them, the ones I prefer tend to be the ones that do go a little bit off kilter, because like there is just a big difference between books and TV. And I think in terms of character and like important story beats, like those should always remain the same. Necessarily how you get there or how that character sort of learns the lessons that they do in order to develop could change a little bit. But for me, I'm kind of, I have the books, and that'll always be an option for me. I don't feel like they'll be tainted anyway if the TV show's like a bit different. So in some ways it would be like having two versions of this great story with these characters that I love. Would sometimes the more different they are, the better it would be. But yeah.
Well, so it's interesting because Brandon Sanderson described the changes, because he's obviously read all the scripts, right?
Yeah.
And he described the changes as a lot like the Lord of the Rings adaptations, which I actually think that those are more different than people realize. For like most casual fans, think that those are pretty close, and they're really not.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a lot that kind of changes.
A lot of songs cut out.
Yeah, I mean, and that actually, believe it or not, that kind of pissed some people off at the time.
Yeah.
And there's still some people that feel betrayed by the Peter Jackson movies. Now, I would argue the Peter Jackson movies spread the popularity of that book series further than it's ever gone, right? And that was already the most popular book series out there. So if it is truly what Brandon Sanderson is saying, that it's in the line of changes of Lord of the Rings, that I'm going to be okay with that. I think there are some changes to be made that I think are going to be good. I am hesitant, though, where I feel like the changes they made in Lord of the Rings, they made, for the most part, were really good ones. Like, for instance, cutting Tom Bombadil. Spoilers for Lord of the Rings. But, like, Tom Bombadil would not have fit in that story.
No.
I think it would have felt very out of place and weird, right? Especially for a movie. Would have screwed up the pacing. Yeah. So, that change was a good one. There are things like that, but what I'm worried about is change for just the sake of changing stuff, but not with any real reason they have to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it always has to have. I think if a change is unmotivated, then I think that will you'll know it because it'll feel wrong. I think that's like you were saying with Lord of the Rings. A big part of the changes for that were pacing wise. I mean, it takes Frodo ages to leave the Shire in the books, like years, and then it takes them, I think, like a good 3/4 of the book to even get to like Rivendell, and you're kind of like there. I think they really ramped up the pace to sort of create that urgency, because reading a book you can dip in and out of, but when you're watching a TV show or a movie, you're there for no one sort of watches half an hour of Lord of the Rings and then presses pause to go, come back the next day or something.
Elliot, you've never seen this before. One thing on my channel, I wear wigs.
No, I did see the wigs coming out. I mean, I was kind of gutted that I only watched the recent one today because I didn't have any time to go to the wig store.
This is my Karen wig. Thank you, Dusty
Fabulous.
Wheel. So Matt Hatch, where is the wig? Oh, I should put this up on the screen. Hey, Elliot, congrats on the new channel. So big congratulations from the innkeeper.
Cheers, Matt.
But here we go. Wig it is. So everybody gets the wig. So now you have to
Stunning.
take me seriously while we talk, while I'm wearing this.
I'll do my best.
So yeah, I think I totally agree with you, where I'm kind of looking at this as a new thing, and I'm looking forward to not necessarily knowing everything that's going to happen. You know, I feel like it might even be. Have you ever seen a movie where you knew, like you accidentally had read the Wikipedia or something before,
Yeah.
and you kind of know what's going to happen, but you're not quite sure how it's going to happen?
Yeah.
That's still entertaining for me.
Definitely.
I'm kind of looking forward to that. Okay, I know we're going to get here, but how are we going to get here?
Yeah,
right?
And the little foreshadowing hints, I think,
Yeah.
with characters and stuff, that'll be something satisfying for book readers and for first-time fans to go back and watch, because you'll be like, oh, well, I know he's a dark friend, so that was kind of clever how they suggested that at some point.
Do I look like Boris Johnson?
The hair, yeah.
People are making fun of my wig strap here. I'm not professional at wearing wigs. So, okay, what's one change that you would actually like to see? Let's take that a little further. What's a change that you would like to see?
Oh man, just one. I don't know. This is for way later on in the series, and I've discussed this in a video previously. But I always thought the fact that we never got to see Elayne give birth to Rand's twins was kind of a missed opportunity in the final books. But that's a way off in the series. For season 1, I guess I kind of feel like the ending is. I feel like that would be too much for TV. I feel like the Eye of the World kind of really steers into a direction and goes straight down that particular road towards the end. And you get a lot of suddenly new characters being introduced, new villains. And it's great in terms of building up for, and I reread Eye of the World recently actually, and I had a lot more appreciation for the ending. But I remember the first time I read it, I was kind of like, whoa, this is a lot. And so I kind of feel like that could be adapted slightly. Maybe you could have sort of the Forsaken hinted at a bit earlier instead of just dropped in right at the end. But yeah. That's for season 1. That would kind of be, and then maybe speeding up, less stops on the way towards. Well, I don't even think we're heading to Caimlyn in season 1, but yeah.
Well, that's a good. We'll come back to that question in a second, because I think you're right. I think the ending of season 1 or the ending of book 1 is a very easy thing for them to need to change. Because even reading the books, you cannot fully understand what happened at the end of. At the end of book 1, really without reading all the way up into Towers of Midnight. You need to understand what a dream shard is before you can understand what's happening. You need to understand a little bit about what skimming is, because most people don't even realize this. Rand actually learned skimming. The staircase was a skimming platform. But you won't know that reading the first time. You learn that later on. So there's a lot that goes on there that I think is difficult to understand, and it's just written from a unreliable narrator, because Rand has no idea what is going on. Yeah. So, but let's come back to the Caimlyn thing. So you think no Caimlyn?
Just simply going off casting and the fact that I think Elayne is going to be a season 2 character. I think. Because I really love the sort of Caimlyn bit, and I feel to have that and not have Elayne wouldn't be as great as it could be.
Yeah.
Meeting Morghese for the first time and the prophecy, that's all fantastic. And so I wouldn't really see, if you're going to do that, then you might as well include Elayne anyway. So if they're not having Elayne, then I doubt that that's there.
Well, so what about the fact that we have a Basil Gill casting, though?
I mean, true. Do you know? I'm not sure. Possibly. Maybe the royal family was out at one of their summer retreats, and they're just sort of like passing through. I mean, the Queen's not always in London. You go past Buckingham Palace, which we do obviously because everything's next door. We've got like one city and like several little towns and villages with a few pubs. That's England.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes she's at Windsor, sometimes she's at Buckingham Palace. It's possible. They travel, they get about.
Gosh, it would be so weird to have a queen. So weird. Okay, so you're thinking because I was going to suggest maybe they go there, but they don't go to the palace.
Yeah.
That could happen. Because we do get, maybe Basil Gill isn't the innkeeper in Caimlyn.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot. Maybe do you think they're going to go to Tar Valon?
In season 1, I would say I would have kept that as a season 2 reveal. I would say talk a lot about Tar Valon season 1. Mm-hmm. Keep it for the big season 2 trailer, like that panning shot down, like White Tower, 2 City, like that's gonna be a selling point. That's what I would do.
I don't disagree with you. I'm a huge fan, though, of... Well, I should say this. One of the things I'm most looking forward to is seeing all the locations.
Oh, yeah.
I've never understood this, but, like, we have very little landscape art for Wheel of Time. Like, there's lots of portrait art where people have drawn the characters.
Mm.
There's very little art of... landscape. Have you ever seen, and I'm actually interested if anybody in the chat has seen this either, has anybody ever seen a good photo or picture or draw or whatever of the Stone of Tyr, for instance?
No. Do you know, I've looked. I have looked.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen some, like, is it the Rock of Gibraltar? Might be. Like, people have drawn sort of like comparisons to that, and there's some real life ones they kind of draw upon. But I find you end up getting a lot of like similar ones. If you're looking for like Casterly Rock from Game of Thrones, for example, you get similar kind of concept art from the two of those. I guess because they're quite similar. But you're right. There is a sort of a lack of concept art on that front.
So that's kind of where I was kind of going with it, is I would love to see more of that art. And that's one of the things I'm hoping to see from the show. Like, I want to see Whitebridge be a mile-long bridge across a giant river, right?
Yeah.
It looks way too small to exist. Like, I think that would be so cool to see the White Tower scaled properly. To see,
brilliant.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff would be super fun, and that's the stuff I'm wanting to see. For sure. How do you make Caimlyn beautiful, right? Stuff like that. How do you make Tar Valon that way? And then how big is Dragonmount? Like, because think about this. Very rarely outside of certain volcanoes do you ever see just a solitary mountain sticking up.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right?
Right next to a city as well.
Right. So...
And I feel like in the art there is of Tar Valon and stuff, it's never, I don't know, as big as I kind of imagined it, like when I read the books, because I mean it's a mountain and it's huge, and
I mean it's supposedly like the size of Mount Everest, so it's like I mean really, like that's the height. Yeah. So you put that next to, and then like the White Tower is like 600 feet tall.
Yeah, it's gonna look. It's going to be like when you get, I think, when you have like a shot of Tar Valon, Dragonmount is just going to be like a wall behind it. Right. And then when you get a shot of Dragonmount, Tar Valon's going to be like a P, like sort of on the side.
Well, on that line of thinking, though, do you think that we should see the prologue?
Do I think we should see the prologue?
When should we see the prologue if we do?
I'm a big fan of like pre-credit scenes in TV shows. So I don't know if it's necessarily the right call to have it be the first thing people see. I did say in one of my previous videos that I kind of disagree with myself there, because I did say it should be one of the things, because I feel like it does open like a much larger window into the sort of world Robert Jordan created, because we all know that like there's certain elements from Lord of the Rings that are like borrowed in the beginning of Eye of the World, like the first chapter with the Myrddraal and the black cloak and on the black horse. It's all, you know, kind of reminiscent of that. And so my point then was that that's kind of like separates it instantly from Lord of the Rings, or being like another Lord of the Rings like copycat. But I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit on that now. I feel like there are other ways you could do that, and maybe it would be a good one to sort of have once we've learned a little bit more about the dragon. Like if you could imagine like a bit more information about the dragon coming out at the end of an episode, and then the next episode starts with like a pre-credit scene of that, I think would be quite nice.
I think you can make an argument both for having the prologue be like a cold open for the show.
Yeah.
And I think you can make a convincing argument against that too. Here's my argument for it.
Yeah.
Think of like the cold open for Game of Thrones, how that sets the tone for the series, right? The White Walkers show up and then they don't show up again for a while. But like,
no, it's fantastic. One of the best cold opens.
Yeah.
I went out and I was illegally streaming Game of Thrones. I shouldn't probably admit this, but I was watching it online, and then I watched just those like first 10 minutes, and I was like, right, well, I'm going to go buy the DVDs then, because this is clearly too good for me to be watching in like 480p.
Right. And it was. I mean, up until the last couple seasons, that show was amazing. So, definitely. But that cold open, I think, sets the tone. And for the Wheel of Time, with this idea that so much time has passed,
yeah,
that cold open sets the depth of history for the show, right? Yeah. We would get a small visual glimpse of like the Age of Legends to a small degree, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
We would see the formation of a mountain that we would later see again, right?
Yeah.
All of those things, I think, that there's the compelling argument in my mind, because think about that as a cold open. You see Dragon Mount form, and then we see a time lapse of thousands of years or something, or they go into the right, like I could see something along those lines happening to set up the amount of time that's gone by.
Yeah.
However they would choose to do it. Now, the argument against doing that is it doesn't fit in the narrative right off the bat.
It would be its own little bit.
Yeah, and it would be fit. It would probably fit better, like you were saying, when they're bringing up the Dragon Reborn more, right? Yeah. So I think there's an argument for both. I won't be upset if they go either direction on it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that's where I'm
at. I'm pretty much in the same position. Because I feel like the strength of the Game of Thrones one, though, that I feel like would be lacking in the prologue for the Wheel of Time, is that the character who escapes the White Walkers in Game of Thrones then does come back into it. That sort of like drives the plot, right. Like, because then he gets beheaded later on in the episode, and that's when they go, like, they find the dire wolf. So it kind of comes back, whereas I don't think you quite have that draw into the main story with the prologue of, I mean, obviously it's connected, but it's like separated by such a long space of time that it's
sure.
So that's kind of my, I'm in a similar position myself. If I see it, I'm going to think great, because obviously I know what it is. It's for those first time viewers, if that's the first thing they see, and then suddenly it jumps back to, it's whether or not they're going to be a sort of like, this is all over the place.
So earlier you said Nynaeve was your favorite character.
Yes.
Why?
100%. Why? How could she not be? I don't know how anyone can read the book.
I mean, she's my favorite character, but there are a lot of people who don't like her. In fact, I think I saw somebody earlier say Nynaeve is a bad character. Or,
I mean, I'm not gonna fight anyone on their opinion, but
I would.
I would. Totally I think Nynaeve, for me, it was just her, like, her desire to, like, heal people, I think was like a really strong character trait
Mhm.
that I loved, that they kind of like it was there from the start and it just kind of developed more and more. And her strength as well in just like wanting to protect people, like it kind of all fits together for me. Like I just, whenever there were like revelations about Nynaeve, I remember when we got the first like POV chapter from her, and I just remember thinking, like, just getting inside her head, I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. Like, I love this.
Well, Andrew says she's a hypocrite, and I would say she is, and that's actually why I love her.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a flawed character?
Here's what it is though, like she's so insecure, but she grows into herself by the end of the story. I feel like Nynaeve, outside of Rand in a different way, I feel like Nynaeve has the best arc in the story.
Definitely.
It's a very believable arc because her insecurities show throughout the entire book, right? And you see the little glimpses of them where she doesn't and finally by the end, my favorite piece of Nynaeve is her saying, like at her testing for Aes Sedai, give it to me or don't give it to me, I don't care anymore. I would rather save people than be an Aes Sedai, so screw you all. I love that. To me, that was a badass moment for Nynaeve.
Yeah, and I totally agree. For me, though, I think like the best bit for her arc is when Rand, like towards the end, when he's asking her to be like with him, sort of when he goes into Shale Ghul and does that, and she kind of takes that moment to be sort of, because she's always kind of put herself as the boss, you know, the one who's looking after people. And at that moment, she's kind of takes a step back and is like, you know, I trust you. I know that you're going to try and do the right thing. So I'm just going to say yes, you know. And I think it's a lovely parallel to sort of Egwene at that point, because there's kind of that swap where, you know, it's everyone who comes out of Emond's Field is stubborn as hell. So it's, a lot of their character arcs are just learning to be less stubborn, I think.
Yeah, and that's true. I think I actually like the female characters a lot more than the male characters. I am not on Team Mat like I know most people are. Like Mat, to me, Mat is actually one of the three boys I like the least. I know that sounds nuts, but he's just the one I don't like. I like the girls that come from, or the women that come from Emond's Field the best. I'm much more a fan of Nynaeve. Obviously, she's my favorite character. I like Egwene. I did not like Egwene the first time I read through the series. In fact, I think it's because she reminded me of one of my sisters, and it's like our fighting. Like, but I've grown to love Egwene. I made a video about this because I think Egwene, people throw her out there as like a Mary Sue character a lot, and I don't believe that. I think actually Egwene is competent. But that being said, Egwene is probably the best leader in the series. I would argue that. But I would also argue she gets where she gets because everybody around her suddenly becomes stupid. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I do see what you mean. Yeah, there's a bit of they take some leaps and bounds there with her, particularly like her power of like her authority. Yeah.
Well, like there's these 300-year-old Aes Sedai that suddenly become incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Politically, all like around her all of a sudden. And keep in mind, she's like 20.
Tarviran, what you gonna do?
She's not a Tarviran, no. If she was a Tarviran, it would make more sense. She's not. Anyways,
another change we can make for the show.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Chancellor does not like Mat. I don't know if you can tell from this statement here.
It's the equivalent of a douchey frat boy. Do you know? I kind of get it. There's something always charming, I think, though, about like a frat boy who's just like so overconfident. Like I agree. I'm not. Mat's chapters were never like my favorite. To like when one came up, I was never, you know, as gassed as I was when it came to like Perrin's, which is interesting because I feel like Mat has like a better storyline towards the end than Perrin, but I just loved Perrin's character so much that I was prepared to put up with the long search for File.
Well, honestly, the Fael search is actually the least annoying part of Perrin's story arc to me. I think the whole, should I keep the axe? Should I get a hammer? Like that plot line is ridiculously stupid. I feel like Robert Jordan lost track of what he wanted to do in terms of progressing Perrin as a character. Because I think Perrin early on has a couple character moments where you really feel like he's going somewhere.
Yeah.
But then it's like we start rehashing the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
Like this, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he could have made the decision about the axe and the hammer quite a bit sooner.
I don't want,
quite frankly, with muscles like that, whatever you swing at someone, it's gonna do the same job.
Take the flag down. I'm not a leader. I'm not like this. That whole stupid like that drove me nuts. It's like I felt like Robert Jordan just didn't know where to take Perrin as a character, and that's why I feel like Perrin starts off as a lot of people loving Perrin. Like, I think through The Shadow Rising, it's hard not to love Perrin's story.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yo,
except for the crap with Fael where they fight and spanking and all, I mean, that kind of weird stuff. But, like, the Battle of the Two Rivers stuff is arguably one of the better parts of that book. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think we just lose track of what to do with Perrin.
Yeah. I think he's interesting because he's that... everyone has that sort of in their group of friends, the guy that sort of goes back home and is happy to go back home. And, when you go visit home, they're there. It almost kind of feels like his character could have definitely stayed that one who, like, stayed at home. And then the whole, like, finding Fael stuff kind of is a bit of a side quest. He could almost sort of, like, stay in the Two Rivers managing that up until, like, the last battle I'm needed. Let's go.
Well, I even don't mind Perrin going to Dumai's Wells. Like, I think that's kind of cool that Perrin does that. And he felt drawn to Rand. But it's like, and even the whole thing to go get Massimo is fine. It's just that, I was talking about this on our podcast. Both Perrin and Elayne, both of their plot lines, I think, are the ones that people feel like drag the most. The reality of it is, though, none of those plot lines, like if you look at actually like chapter times, like page time in the book, Elayne doesn't get a lot of it, and neither does Perrin. It's just that it's dragged out over the course of like 4 or 5 books. Even though it's not a significant chunk of those books, it feels like, oh my God, are they ever going to wrap this up? Like, I almost feel like you could have put Elayne and just made her half a book for the ascension to the throne. Yeah. Like taking the throne.
And it probably would have felt a bit more dynamic.
Yeah. Something would have felt like it happened. Rather than her taking baths for 5 books. And talking about and arguing with Brigitta and drinking milk. And and it isn't honestly that it's too long of a writing. Like I said, it doesn't feel like it's ever concluded.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on it. Real quick here. So, you mentioned earlier who you said Semirog was your favorite Forsaken?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Agenor? And I have a reason for asking you this here in a second.
How do I feel about Agenor? I like Agenor. I'm gonna say it. I like that he is sort of he's one of the Forsaken with like a purpose. He makes the monsters, and I like that.
I'm going to say that. So we're going to do one more promo here for Tarval and After Dark. If you have never checked out our podcast, you need to do so. And I'm going to play one more quick promo here, just in case you've never heard it, so you want to get an idea of whether or not you want to listen to us. So here we go. This is a beautiful bedtime story. Here we go. And now it's time for a bedtime story from Emmons Field. Once upon a time, a little boy lived with his mommy and daddy on their sheep farm in the Two Rivers. The little boy would play all day long with their horse named Brownie. The little boy would ride Brownie up and down the driveway, and they would have so much fun together. Every day, right before it got dark, the little boy would take Brownie back to his stable and brush his hair and make sure that he had food to eat. His parents made sure that he was always back before dark. One day, the little boy and Brownie had so much fun playing and riding around that the little boy wanted to keep playing with Brownie even after it was getting late. His mommy and his daddy told him, "It's not safe outside at night. You need to be tucked in bed inside where it's safe." But the little boy was sneaky. That day, after he fed Brownie and brushed his hair, he said, "Brownie, you be ready. We're going to play some more in a little bit." Then, once his parents tucked him into bed, the little boy snuck out the window and took Brownie out of his stable and started to play at night with him. It was so much fun to be outside at night, but it was also so scary. While they were playing, they came across a giant flash of light that spun out into a doorway. A man stepped out. "Hey there, mister. Do you want to play with me and my horse, Brownie?" And the man said, "Why, of course I do, boy. My name is Agenor, and I have just the game for us to play." Agenor then tied the boy up with the one power and performed experiments on Brownie right in front of the boy. He ripped Brownie's limbs off one by one and added different animal parts. Brownie seemed to be not having very much fun. The boy watched as finally Brownie didn't look like a horse anymore. He was a Trolloc now. "Can I go home now, mister? I'm sad because my horse is gone," said the little boy. "Oh no, the fun is just beginning. Brownie, you're hungry, aren't you?" Then Agenor watched as Brownie got a cookpot and cooked the boy alive and ate his legs. And then he ate his arms, and then his feet, and at last he ate the boy's eyeballs. Finally, Agenor said, "Little boys who don't listen to their parents always have to watch me turn their pets into Trollocs and eat them alive." The end. Are you ready for bed, Elliot?
Bro, I gotta get. I was hoping to get a few more hours in sleep-wise. I was just ready to go. Now, look at this. Good
There's a little
heavens.
talk after dark.
My goodness. Well, I mean, I'll definitely be tuning into the podcast, but safely in the hours of daylight. I think. It would be wise.
Well, hey, to respect your time because it is now 3 a.m. there.
My goodness.
It is
Time flies.
Now, I wanted to play that for you because you are going to have to go back to bed, and I figured that would help you sleep. So
very kind. Thank you.
But thank you for joining. It was a lot of fun talking to you, man. We'll have to have you back maybe
I'd love it.
Time of day when it's not the middle of the night for you.
I mean, do you know, 2 a.m. is not that bad once you're up, once you're here.
Well, for everybody, again, you definitely need to subscribe to Elliot Edits. I'm going to post the link in the chat again, where you can search him. Subscribe to his stuff. He's only got one video up now, but that's because he used to make videos. Ooh, got the hiccups. Used to make videos on a different channel, and now he's got his own channel where he's going to be posting this stuff, and he's got another video coming out Wednesday.
Let's say Wednesday.
He makes amazing stuff, guys. It's really well thought out. It's very different from everything else people are making. So I highly recommend you follow him. Elliot's one of those people that I just can't recommend enough that you follow and watch his stuff because I think you'll like it. Thank you, Jason and Jay Diggity. You guys are the best. Appreciate the donations here. I would put the wig on, but we're about to go. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to Elliot. Let's get him up so he can get monetized. Let's get him over 1,000 subscribers here shortly, okay?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
1,000 people.
Yeah, well, hey, we'll get you there, man. Guys, thanks for joining. I will hopefully have a video out tomorrow in the read-through series and then another one on Thursday. And we will have another video, a news video on Friday. I am giving away a set of Apple AirPods Pro. If you want to know how to win these, you have to go back and watch the news video on Friday. It will tell you how to enter the contest. Thanks, Elliot, for joining us. Thanks, guys,
Thank
for watching.
you.
Peace out, everybody. We're
Cheers,
done.
guys.